First, thank you for coming out on this. This is really a tragic story, but it gets to the heart of what domestic violence is and how dangerous these situations can be. This morning at 2:23 a.m., we received a call to come to 3203 Parma Avenue in Deltona. It was the victim's 19-year-old daughter on the phone saying that she had heard screaming, glass breaking, and gunshots, and she was locked in her bedroom. She was afraid to go out, but she believed that the perpetrator was the ex-husband of her mom, Samuel Vaia. And she also let us know that last week we had arrested him in possession of a firearm during a domestic dispute inside of the house. At that same time, we then get a phone call from the suspect's father, who lives up the street, and said, my son just left the house, told us that Ashley was shot. You know, he's in camo gear, he's got a bulletproof vest, he's got a long gun and a handgun on him. Deputies automatically entered the vehicle, which was a 2020 Range Rover, into the tag readers. At 2:47 a.m., there's a tag reader hit in Daytona on that vehicle. A few minutes later, Air 1 is up and picks up the vehicle on 95 northbound. Our sergeant gets behind the vehicle. In that pursuit was St. Johns County, Daytona Beach Police Department, FHP, us, and Flagler. When they get up to 5000 Parkway, Palm Coast Parkway up there, Hammock Dunes Parkway, wherever it is, the vehicle rolls over, and then there's a standoff. He's inside of the vehicle. Flagler SWAT team is out there, and I think it's a 3:21 is when the rollover occurs. You know he's armed and he has body armor. SWAT team gets out there. They make announcements. Drones are flying. They decide to try to break into the windshield of the car, where then they observe that the suspect has a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, where he is subsequently pronounced dead on the scene. So if you go back, on 3:23, we're called to the home at 1 a.m. Even though they're divorced, they have a 2-year-old in common, and he comes to the house at 1 a.m. to confront his ex-wife on cheating allegations. And he tries to get her cell phone off of her and hold it up to her face so it'll open it up so he can see who she's been texting. She tries to break free from him. He locks her into the bathroom. She's screaming to try to have her phone automatically call 911. During the struggle, she feels what she believes to be a handgun in his waistband. Her daughter, the same daughter that finds her mom shot in the head and calls us, comes into the bedroom where they're fighting, and he flees. We arrive on scene. They tell us who he is. He's a couple doors away at his dad's house. When deputies take him into custody, he's armed with the firearm. That's 3:23, and then he's arrested for battery and domestic violence. On 3:25, the court issues an order for him to turn over all of his firearms to us. He turns, clearly not all of them in, he turns 3 of them in. And then you fast forward, to the 31st, and here we have a mother of 3, a 2-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 21-year-old who is basically executed. And, again, it goes back to, I will say this over and over and over again, domestic violence injunction is just this. A protection order is just this. It's a piece of paper. It's never going to keep any woman safe when somebody is hell-bent to kill you. And clearly, this guy was hell-bent on killing her. And a gun during a domestic violence incident, that's the #1 weapon that is used. If there's a gun in a home during a domestic violence incident, the numbers are astronomically higher that firearm is going to be used in the next domestic violence issue. And we do something different here that a lot of other people don't do. We don't wait for a warrant, okay? So if you get a call for domestic violence and the deputies get there and they establish probable cause, they do an affidavit and they automatically begin searching for that person. They go out for the next 72 hours looking for this guy. He's not that hard to find, right? You know where he works, you know what he drives, and you know you're looking for him. And in the case on the 23rd, that's exactly what they did. They got the information. There was enough to make an arrest. They went right to where he believed he was there. They made the arrest. They confiscated the gun. Judge gave us an order for him to surrender his firearms as a point of release. But again, you can't be clairvoyant there. So we do something a lot of other people don't do. We do not wait for warrants. If there's probable cause, we're coming to get you, we're going to lock you up, because that, in my experience, is the best way to prevent things like this from happening. I'll share something that I shared with my daughters that my grandfathers told me, okay? When a man puts his hand on a woman, that relationship is over. And I tell my daughters the same thing. That relationship is over. Run from it. Because once that's done, there is no putting that genie back in its bottle. You know, and I know somebody's going to turn around and say, well, what about when a woman puts her hands on a man? I'm just telling, as a father of girls, that when a man, and you see it over and over and over again, and you see how these end up. Once, my message to the women out there is, once a man puts his hands on you, the relationship is over. It has to be over for your safety and your children's safety.